How to sell a home by owner. How do you sell a property if you just want to do it yourself and not include an agent? It is really, really easy to do so. All you have to do is find a buyer and agree on a price and find a lawyer. Now, depending on where you are, what jurisdiction, what state that you're in, what province you're in Canada, some places require that both sides be different lawyers. Some jurisdictions don't mind if it's the same lawyer. So some of the properties that I've purchased for myself, they didn't mind if it was the same lawyer representing the buyer and the seller. Another property that we bought, we had to have two separate lawyers. And so we can do that. So if you just find this buyer for your home, you can do that. And then now maybe get the same lawyer or maybe get two lawyers. All you have to do is agree on a price. So how do you get a lot of reach? I did another video on what sells homes. I encourage you to check out that video and gives you a lot of tips on what you're going to need to do. But how you're going to do this is normally by getting a lot of reach. The largest reach that you can get in Canada or United States is by using the MLS or realtor.ca and getting it up on Zillow after that. That access is what's going to get you a lot. And that's the easy, low hanging fruit part of it. They have something that they call a mirror listing, MERE, where you can just pay a realtor for that. And so generally it will cost you about $1,000 or so. There is a lot of paperwork, and I'm telling you this because there's a lot more than you think. All the measurements of every property, like every room, what kind of floor, what kind of furnace, what kind of hot water tank, when was the roof done, when was the windows done. There's a lot more questions than you would think. So by paying $1,000, you're paying them for all of their labor because you have to give them all the information, and then they have to either themselves or their agents, their assistants go, and they're going to have to fill out all of the forms. It takes a long time. So you're paying for their labor to actually post it and their access. It's worth it all day. Just getting it up on the market. Now, because you're selling it yourself, you're just basically paying for exposure. Now you're going to be getting a lot of leads, inquiries, emails, phone calls, asking for times to come visit your house. If you put it up as a mirror listing, you're going to get a lot of buyer's agents that will be calling you saying, I have a client willing to look at the property. Are you cooperating with agents? That word cooperating means, will you pay them their commission? So in Canada, the typical commission is 5%. So that's 2.5 to the buyer's agent. In the US, it's typically 6%. You'd have to pay 3% to the buyer. So whatever your home is, if it's $1 million, you got to pay the buyer, the other agent, $30,000 in order to go do that. Now, the agent typically, legally, depending on the jurisdiction, they legally still have to show the home. They're not allowed to say, well, I will not show my client. They typically will say to their client, I can't show you the property for you because they're not willing to work with me or talk with me. So the agent will tell them, you have to go personally, like you go look at the home all by yourself. And so the buyer will look at the home and try to figure out what to do. The part in the middle that's a little bit hard then is who's going to write all the contracts? Who knows what to write in the contracts, how to write it? But the two of you have to work together to try to come to terms with the contract writing, who's going to write it and how you're going to accept it. So if you were able to do that, then you can bring that piece of paperwork to a lawyer and they can facilitate the whole transaction. This may be a title company, it may be a lawyer. It depends on where you are, but it's very, very easy. You just have to Google them. Look up a title company in your area or look up real estate lawyers in your area. They're going to be able to direct you. I'm telling you, within 2 phone calls, you'll be at the right person. So that's going to be the easy part. The hard part is knowing the clauses and what to write in the contract. Now, I would say Google a lot of them to make sure that you understand what they mean and what you're asking for. You want the closing date proper and the price and when they're going to do the title searches and so forth. But it's usually the problems come in Schedule A or an addendum of some kind where it's all the fine print. So typically speaking, depending on what state you're in and what province you're in, there is pre-printed, like online contracts that are written directly from the real estate boards. And you can get those contracts and just fill them in. But the majority of the problems will be happening in the fine print at the end. So that is what I would tell you. Please pay attention always to that. But I would also say, again, go check out that other video that I made on what things sell your property. That'll give you a good idea of that. And I really, really think that everybody should always be using a mere listing when they are there. I mean, it's worth its weight in gold. Anyway, I hope that helps you guys. Any questions? Leave some comments for me and I'll try to get to them. So you guys, my name is David Ruff and I operate in the beautiful city of Toronto, Canada. I am a real estate broker. We have an entire team here, full service for anything that you need in selling your properties. This is what we specialize in. This is what we are experts at. If you need us for anything, you can always reach out to us, send us a message, we'll get back to you. If you're not in the greater Toronto area, I'm always here to help you as well. If you have any questions, send it below. I answer all of them, and thank you very much for coming by. Thanks so much for sticking around. If you like that video, you might like this one and maybe something like that.